Well, welcome. We're back. My name is Mike Crawford. Welcome back to the Young Jurks from Verilife in Wareham, Massachusetts. We've had some great content today. Some good interviews. Jim Bogassani, two selectmen from Wareham already earlier. You may have saw that. You can also watch it back on our replay if you want to catch those. A lot of good information. Peter Teitelbaum and Alan Slavin, from Mass Municipal Association. A lot of good information in that segment. And then we just had an interview with a sponsor, and now we're back with two more guests. Having a good time here at Verilife. Little breeze, we're right on the water. Beautiful here. We started out with kind of the men's segment. It was all the old jerks, as we were joking around, old men jerks. First segment, but now we have the ladies here. I'm joined by two awesome ladies. We're going to get right into it. First, closest to me. I've known her for a while. Her name is Sandy Bernier. She's a local. Her company is in Rockland, Mass. Is that right?
That's right.
And it's Irie Bliss Wellness.
You got it.
I got it right?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I feel like it's weird because this is like the first time I think you've actually been on the show, but I've known you for a while.
We keep trying to manifest it, but it's finally time.
I know. I don't know why we didn't do this earlier.
We've tried.
We have.
Babies. I blame the babies. You can blame the dogs.
And
Whatever.
we're wicked busy, both of us.
We are.
8 million things going on, but you have a shop in Rockland, Mass.
I have an education and resource center, which is a private club.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you're official on it.
I'm super official.
Correct me. Anytime I'm wrong on this, definitely do so. That's like the number one thing. So we're going to talk a lot about that, but we also have another guest right next to you that we also want to introduce. She's from Citron Cooperman.
That's correct.
And your name is Mitzi Hollenbeck.
That is also correct.
And what is your title?
So I'm a partner with the firm. We're a CPA firm. So we're the 22nd largest accounting firm in the U.S., and we have a dedicated cannabis advisory services practice, of which I am the co-founder and the practice leader of that advisory services practice. So we do a lot of different business aspects, consulting, tax compliance, tax structuring, tax planning in the cannabis industry. But I also am a selectman in the town of Lakeville. So I'm the chairman of the board there, too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's very, yep. So now
You're
get three
female
selectmen.
Yeah, and you're a female, too,
Yes.
which is, I love having female office holders on the show, so that's awesome.
Yes.
Especially in what town?
Lakeville. So just 20 minutes up the road, right up the street.
Oh, so you're very local to this,
Yeah,
too.
it's perfect. I get to just, take my 20-minute ride on the Cranberry Highway on the way home.
That's great. This is fun. So how long have you been a select? I want to say select woman.
Hey, it
select men.
doesn't really matter to me either way with the title, but this is my 5th year that I've been a selectman. I'm a second-term selectman, so I'm the chairman of the board. There's 3 of us on the board. So.
And I bring that up, selectmen, because in some cities and towns they've decided to change it to...
Exactly. Select people, select
Yes.
board, select person, but I'm happy with the title. It was
You're
there
okay
when I
with it?
got there. I didn't have an issue with it.
It's always tough for me, because then there's other ones like assemblyman, and I don't know. There's other ones, too,
Right.
that we come up against.
Yeah, alderman.
Yes,
you know,
there you go.
Alderwoman?
Yes,
Never heard that
that's
one.
what it was. Yeah, alderperson now.
Yeah.
I think in Somerville they changed it recently in Somerville from alderman. I think they're actually calling themselves city councilors now in Somerville, which is interesting. But Lakeville, how are they on cannabis?
So we have 6 signed host community agreements.
Awesome.
We have, I think, 4 of them are cultivation and manufacturing infused products. And then we have 2 retail as well. Some are vertically integrated, some are not, some are medical, some are adult use. But we're pretty open to it. We have it zoned in industrial zones in Lakeville. And we've been really welcoming and open to the industry.
Have you seen like pushback from like a downtown area? Or is that
We don't have a downtown
You don't
area.
have a downtown,
No, we
no.
just have lakes.
That's what I was wondering about Lakeville.
That's
actually.
well, they're
I should know that.
technically
I went
ponds.
to Bridgewater State, and I
Ah.
know the area a little bit.
Yep.
Not too well, but it's funny. So yeah, this is exciting. We're in Wareham, Massachusetts today, and again, we're at Verilife. I think people can see that from the video, but just in case you're listening back on the podcast, we're at Verilife in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's beautiful here. It's warm. We're outside, but we're seeing a steady traffic, a foot traffic coming in from the downtown area. We're basically in the downtown Wareham area, and I don't see any traffic issues. There's not a lot of parking here, but people get here without creating a lot of traffic. It's really kind of cool to see how it works out here. I think a lot of cities and towns that have worries about parking and traffic could look to Verilife and look to what they're doing here in Wareham. Is that something that you see come up, the traffic concerns? Because we see
Yeah,
it every town, it seems like.
Absolutely. And I think that people just need to understand that as the market matures in the cannabis market and more stores are opening, that certainly there won't be the large lines, there aren't people urinating on your front lawn, that this is not a business to be afraid of, and it really should be welcomed in more cities and towns. But I think that a lot of them, by the time they finally educate their population, and when you have town meeting government or town meeting form of government, it's very difficult to educate a lot of people on the benefits of this business to the town, because they become the single largest taxpayer per square foot in any city or town. And that's pretty impressive when you really think about that. With the partnership they can have with the community, I don't understand why more cities and towns aren't embracing it.
Correct. Me neither. I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer, because even if there are any little incidental problems that people talk about, they're already there. It's not like you can ban those. Even if you ban the sale, if the next town over is selling it, what difference does it make?
And I would think even here in Wareham that probably likely WaterWiz saw a nice boom in business once they had to have their shuttle originally when they opened to drive everybody from WaterWiz over to Verilife. So, hey, go WaterWiz. I'll be there Saturday with my children. It's very exciting.
What is WaterWiz? Is this like a water park?
It's a water park, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lazy river, there's water slides. That's the heart of Wareham. A couple of movies were actually filmed there too, Adam Sandler movies.
So it's famous, and I don't know
It's famous. You have to go there
I
right after
definitely want to go there. I'm like, is this like water country in New Hampshire?
It's better than water country.
It is. Oh, I definitely need to go there. And I'm a water country mark. I just love those places.
We should have an industry party there.
Yeah. Hopefully no one gets drowned, no? No, not crowd. I don't know. We may have to get some extra lifeguards.
That's fine.
Not for me, though. I can swim.
Well, I heard lazy river, and instantly I was like, yes.
Oh my God, I love lazy rivers. Isn't that the best thing in the world?
Best.
Wow.
Yeah.
So WaterWiz.
WaterWiz, yep.
In Wareham.
It's a good little ad for them.
Yeah.
Well, we have a phone number, too, if you want to call in. It's 502-501-3477. We are taking phone calls. Again, we're with, we have two great guests here. We're talking about cannabis, of course. I don't want to say a shop again because you're going to correct me. So this is a membership club that you run in Rockland.
This is the new incarnation of Irie Bliss. Is now, yes, it's a private club. You come in, you put in your phone number, you can earn points, you can earn free product, but you certainly will be helping me offset my costs for doing business in this space, because it's not a normal business.
And tell us about what you offer there, because I know about some of it, but I want to make sure everyone knows what's there in Rockland.
Right. So basically, I'm a wellness and lifestyle advocate, I would say. So I help steer people towards products. I can give a lot of advice about with my own experience as a patient. I should add that I've been a patient since 2010. I was lucky to be born and raised in Maine, where they've had a medical program for 20 years now. I actually became a patient in California also. So, using my own experiences, I can only get people so far. So we also have the Green Nurse Group has a room, and it's really amazing to be able to have somebody there when my 22-year-old is working at the front desk, and people come in and they start talking about their IBS or their, reproductive issues or any issues, really. I mean, she just wants to do her job. And so now we're able to say, hey, we have a nurse. Go ahead back to room 2 after you become a member. You know what I mean? And so again, it's in its infancy. I'm still doing my inspection tomorrow with the zoning board. They know I want to be a private club. They're completely supportive. I'm in Rockland. They have other things to worry about, because I'm really just trying to educate the community. And when I first went there to the town council and explained what I originally wanted to do, they were like, oh, great, you want to educate the community about cannabis? That's awesome, because we don't have the time to do that. And so we've kind of had this open door policy. This is a safe space to come and ask all your burning questions. And even if we have to send you to a dispensary, they're going to come back for their CBD. They're going to come back for something for grandma, or bring their grandmother, to talk to the nurse. Because again, we're offering something that a lot of the dispensaries don't really have, which is medical staff. So that's kind of where we're beginning. We have all kinds of resource books. I have a room called the Heart Cave, and that's where I allow people to come in once they're a member. They can use all of my books about herbs, all of my books about, cannabis, about how to make their own medicine. I have so many books that I've been collecting over the years.
You teach people how to make medicine?
I teach people how to make salves. I teach people how to mix
tinctures. I've seen your videos doing that too. I love it. Your videos are really good.
Thank you. Most of them got taken down actually by YouTube.
I
used to have 6. I think there's only 2 left. Yep. They took them all down because I think I showed isolate to the camera and I said it looks much like a drug, but it's a compound, a molecule. But yeah, they took all my videos down, so I kind of gave up making videos because I was like, what's the point of this? So I do it. That's what I do in real life, though. You know what I mean? Like, people can come to me with their Rick Simpson oil, and I can provide them with the CBD oil,
right.
and then we can make one-to-ones together, because that's my First Amendment right, to teach you how to do stuff with your medicine. I'm not selling you that medicine. I'm selling you an experience or a training program or an hour of consult.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's where, say I think I have it here. What's the location in Rockland?
So I am right on Union Street. If you know where the town hall is on Union Street, I am directly diagonally across and next to the credit union.
140 Union Street.
No, that used to be my location.
Oh, that's the
I'm
old
at, Yep,
location.
221 now.
Now, why did you move? Because I know there's a story behind this too.
Well, simply my lease was up. We were in what looked like a very medical office facility set back from the road. Nobody could really find us. They would get there and say, oh, am I in the right place? There's not a huge story other than I felt like I was ready to come out of the basement, so to speak, and be in the light. I mean, we have a beautiful storefront now with, floor to ceiling windows, and it's just all this beautiful light pours in every afternoon. And I was quite literally in the basement, which actually ended up also semi-flooding. So that was kind of like a sign, like it's time to come out. It's time to get in the light.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Green Nurse Group is there.
Mm-hmm.
Do they offer medical cannabis recommendations there, or are they able to help?
Not right now, but we will connect people with Medwell usually, because Medwell was one of my major sponsors when I first opened. They've been incredibly supportive. We had events at our space where we were doing the certifications with a doctor that they would bring in.
Cool.
So yeah, we might still do events like that in the future, but we don't have someone in-house to do.
And you do events
recommendations
there?
for.
People can, it's kind of a community
We
center?
were
as well?
doing some events, yeah. We were doing a lot of education on mental health awareness and how CBD can help with that. We've done, we had a really nice group of ladies. They wanted me to do one of those like teaching workshops, and they didn't want to do it in their home. I often do this in people's homes. We
Yes.
have private, parties. But when I did it at the space, like lovely group of women, Sunday morning brunch, might have been mimosas, might have been other things in the mimosas. But again, we're a private club, so you'd have to join the club to know what's in our mimosas.
Awesome. And it's if you want to join the club, it's iriebliss.com.
iriebliss.com. I don't even
Facebook.
know if the link to join the club is on the website yet, because it's that new. But if you come into the shop, it's up and running. And what's going to even be cooler about it is we're going to have a referral program. So many people are like, oh my God, I love your products. I really want to tell people. Now you're going to earn real money for getting other people to join the club.
Awesome. And you brought these lollipops, which I love because they have real berries in them.
Yes, these are from All Kind up in Portland, Maine. If you are a patient, you can now... There's reciprocation in Maine, so you can go to Maine and you can see a caregiver in a storefront or in a private consulting office.
I want to make a note on that because there was some pushback by the state recently from the state of Maine. Basically, the state of Maine was allowing that, and they are still allowing it, reciprocation. But Mass, turns out, so far hasn't allowed them access to the medical cannabis database, so we can't go there now. At least at the stores. I'm sure, yeah. But that's probably going to get fixed because Shalene Title noted it on our Twitter. People were hitting her up, and she got back and said, we're aware, and we're going to try to get that
because for
straightened out.
$50, you used to be able to just register in both states. So
Yeah.
I don't know why that would change.
Well, you know what
they
were,
want the $50.
Exactly. and it's a lot of things are changing, too. It's, who knows, like, today maybe they fixed it by now. I mean,
it's hard to
it
keep
is
up.
so hard to keep up with this stuff.
I mean, a lot of the issues, too, with the DPH going under the CCC. I mean, there's been a lot of hang-up and a lot of hold-up on, cannabis applicants, medical cannabis applicants who have been trying to get their license in the medical front, and they're actually getting their adult use licenses prior to their medical licenses at this point, because the problems, I think, in the administration of really absorbing all of the DPH's responsibilities at the Cannabis Control Commission has been a struggle, really,
We're
at the
finding
state
out
level.
they're really understaffed.
Exactly.
We found out on the recommendations, we reported on that, and then they changed it recently.
Yes.
Because we were complaining so much.
Yep.
But it still hasn't gotten change on the renewals, which was our really big complaint.
Yep.
And it still hasn't gotten changed, the fact that, moms that are getting their kids recommendations have to go see 2 doctors. And one's a pediatrician, so why not just get one pediatrician? Isn't that enough? All the cost every year.
I actually got an email from the CCC, and I was like, "What's this going to be?" And they were just letting me know my rec was about to expire in August, and I was like, "Wow, thanks, guys."
Helpful. Yes.
You better do it now.
I know.
Because it's going to take
it's
4
on the
months
list.
to get
it's
renewed.
on the list.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think a lot of I always say they're trying to do their best. It's such a fast moving, changing industry all the time with all the regulations coming in, different states, different issues, impacting them, that, I think they're doing a great job. I think they're doing what they can do with what they have, and certainly nobody expected, I think, the
Do you think
industry
they need more money? I think they do. I'm wondering, if they'll ever get more money before.
Well, I think, the 17% excise tax that's happening on all of the sales that are, in effect, should help. So,
does that
we
go
just
to them, or does that go to the general fund? That's
it does. I don't believe it goes to the general fund. I believe, a piece of it is reserved for social equity.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
so that is in there, and I don't know exactly whether the rest of it's going to the general fund, but certainly they just closed their books, so we'll see what happens with the June 30th numbers and what they expected versus, where they are. I think they said they're over $170 million in sales right now since November, really when the adult use market started here in Mass. So
very interesting. We mentioned it earlier. Our last panel was all, that I sat in on was all males, which for me, I've been doing cannabis, reform work forever. And traditionally, it was all white males forever. And recently, we've seen more people of color, seen a lot more women. You're two women here. How do we open it up more so that it's not just white males and it's just not big money? And how do we get more women in? How do we support that?
Well, loaded question, right? The biggest issue, of course, in Massachusetts, I think, is that when you started out in a medical marijuana industry that had to be vertically integrated, and you needed at least $10 million to $20 million to get off the ground. So who are the people that historically have people sitting on the sidelines willing to back them other than big players or white males in a lot of cases? So, it's just I think it's time. I honestly think that a lot of, there's a lot of effort that's trying to be put out there. You look at the state of Illinois, that's really going to be coming up with their social equity funding, which is going to be a state program by which they will fund minority and women applicants, to try to help get through the process. The problem is with such a regulated industry, the compliance aspects of it are so onerous that, if you're getting a $50,000 micro loan, that's going to go pay your attorney's fees. That's it. So you got nowhere. You really just kind of provided money to the service providers in the industry. So I think, the movement of the delivery licenses and the social consumption licenses to the minorities, of course, is a great step, but they're going to have just as much regulation on that front too. And then, you have the 10% ownership issue. But of course, that's being looked at right now and has been, the focus of where the CCC is going to make sure that the big players aren't coming in. But I see it all the time. So it's certainly, it's going to be tough. I don't see it really going towards minorities, women, economic empowerment applicants. I think it's the cat's out of the bag. I think here in Massachusetts,
too late.
It's kind of too late. I think those
Is there anything that you think they should be doing, the CCC or even the governor and the legislator? Some people talked about the social equity funding.
Yeah, the issue is, how long is that supposed to fund for? How long are you kind of supporting the businesses where maybe they're making missteps along the way? And when the market really saturates in Massachusetts because they never set a cap on the number of licenses and there's more of these around, the people who are able to withstand, price pressure are not the little guys. And that is going to be the issue. So unless you're branding, you're marketing, you're finding some niche product or niche market in Massachusetts, over time as the market saturates with the number of license holders, increasing, I don't see how the small business model is going to survive.
I love your honesty. I really do.
I see the numbers. That's, and I see it in other states. We work, specifically Colorado, Washington State, Oregon. It's just a matter of time. And Oregon's the biggest example of that when they didn't set a cap on licenses. And all of a sudden, now they've got 5 years, 6 years, 7 years worth of oversupply because it was, less expensive to grow. In Massachusetts, it is not cheap to grow at all with the energy costs. So if you're really trying to get into this industry, the price pressure and the price competition is going to come from those who are able to have larger economies of scale. So I just think, unfortunately, that something could change, but I just don't see it happening.
Do you want to add anything, Sandy?
Well, I have a lot of, I guess, the branding and the marketing. I have a lot of hope, I guess. I feel like there is room for a small business owner, actually. I feel like when you provide the service, the support to the patients, and you're compassionate, and again, maybe I'm naive, but maybe in my town or in my neck of the woods, maybe we could start a home healthcare meets cannabis delivery model where people are actually put first, not the profits. And maybe that does mean, starting some sort of a, nonprofit or religion if I can't start an actual nonprofit because of the cannabis connotation. But I do actually think that if you're not trying to be like a multi-millionaire, you can make a pretty comfortable living in this business just by supporting your local government and by starting in your own backyard, and by developing the trust of your community. And that's what we're trying to do. So I don't know, and I don't even know if I want to go cannabis necessarily in delivery, but it's like a dream that I have, because again, if I'm doing like 90% of that, we're just not allowed to give them, we're allowed to give it to them, but we can't actually sell them the cannabis. So again, I don't know. I totally get what you're saying, because again, how am I going to be able to compete with that 1 million square foot grow unless I can be a broker and a true small business owner and be afforded that right or ability to go to any craft co-op, any small grow, or a large grow, if that's what I choose to do, to hand select, products for my patients. And so if there's not like a broker license or like a way to kind of shop around for people, like how am I going to get the best deal, right? So yeah, there has to be some kind of a pathway for, the black market, talk about social equity. If Sherry could go with my husband who worked at South Bay Prison, he's recognized people at parties, and if we can go and say, hey, we want your Rolodex. We know you're doing this anyway. Well, guess what? We're going to identify the people that really need a nurse, and we're going to identify the people that just need rec delivery, and we're going to bring you in. So, maybe there's a way to partner with people that literally already have customers, but don't have a way to legally sell to their customers. So I don't know how that works or how that looks, but I mean, there's, I don't know. There's got to be a way.
Well, and I think, one of the big things needs to happen, of course, at the federal level, is something needs to happen with regard to the Controlled Substances Act and the descheduling of THC marijuana products, mainly because what I think people don't understand is that as a business owner, although we kind of briefly talked a little bit about your business model, you're not plant touching with THC, you're not trafficking a controlled substance because you're under the 2018 Farm Bill, you've got industrial hemp, so you're kind of excluded from the Controlled Substances Act. But what I think people don't understand is the building behind us, everybody who's ringing a register today, the rent, the utilities, all those costs are not tax deductible. So what happens is that the effective tax rate of the business right behind us is actually 70 to 80% because they can't deduct their ordinary and necessary business expenses. So again, that brings in the whole factor of how are you supposed to have a little guy survive when all of a sudden your tax bill, and oftentimes we see this in Colorado and Washington, again, in the states that are more mature, these guys will be fine because they're some of the first to the market. So they're bringing in customers and they're able to get, generous margins on their product. But as the markets mature, and all of a sudden we have companies that are actually paying the federal government just to operate as a business because they're taxed on their gross margin, which is just the cost of the product that they bought, after their sales less the cost of the product they've bought, but their operating expenses are greater than the rest of their ability to pay, and their taxes are based upon their gross margin. So it's a huge issue in the industry that's the federal reform that needs to really be looked at is, I think, on the taxing side. And so I know the States Act is really one of the bigger areas whereby if the state has legalized it, that, that would be a component of 280E is the code section that would go away. But all of those issues are very difficult for businesses to handle. And a small business that has a tax bill that they can't afford is going to put them out of business. And so that leads to smaller businesses doing things that are illegal in regard to the Internal Revenue Code, which therefore the IRS has a complete roadmap into your company because that's what you're doing. And they'll take it and they can put you in jail. I mean, that, and it's not
freeze
for
all your assets.
Exactly. They have the power of the purse. So that's something that really needs to change.
I agree.
Interesting. And you mentioned what I wanted to look at today too, which Sandy and both of you are like going to be right on, is the CBD hemp issue, because this has become, everyone's talking about it. The feds put out these guidelines and now the state's following, and this is happening all over the country. I mean, we see CBD everywhere now. My gas station that I go to has it it's pets. I'm in the dog walking, business, dog care, and everybody has CBD now. All the pet owners, all the vets, all the dog stores, everybody has CBD. But now there's new regs that say you can't add it to any food, that you can't note any of the nutritional or
health
medical
or beauty claims, or pet products and pet consumables.
What's going to happen on this? How does it affect you, and what should happen? What's going to happen?
I mean, I can make a huge joke about it, and it can be like, officially, all of the chocolate in my club is for your face. Look at this recipe for this face mask. If it falls into your mouth, I can't be held responsible. I mean, I could be like that, but I think a lot of it is in the marketing. I think a lot of it is making the claims. I think right now we're in limbo, though. We are certainly in limbo, and you probably know more about the bill that was introduced than I do, but they are essentially trying to say, just like Maine did and just like Vermont has done, that a food that has CBD is not to be considered adulterated. It's still food, because it's food. So again, you could probably take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the biggest issue. I met with, I think it was the president of the hemp industry of America, and I was with her in New Orleans at the MJ Biz conference with Joy. Yeah, so I was talking to her, and I said, what's your take on this? And she said, well, the FDA put out guidance, but we don't believe that that's a law. That's guidance. So therefore, our position is that that's just guidance, and it doesn't apply. So certainly you've got, all of these different viewpoints when you look at it. We can ask, a number of our different cannabis attorneys, what is your position on, CBD? And so from a tax perspective, though, once the Farm Bill came into existence, it's no longer a controlled substance. So you can file your tax return and report your illegal income and all of your illegal deductions that it took, in theory, for hemp. And that's still allowed,
and
unlike
CBD,
these guys.
Basically.
For CBD, but not for THC.
If it's made out of hemp.
Exactly, if it's made out of hemp. And that's the other piece, is the federal government has no idea that you have the same product that's made from, CBD made from marijuana, or it's made from hemp. I mean, it's
so crazy because I see like news stories now trying to explain to us the difference between marijuana and CBD plants. And I'm like, they're both marijuana.
Right.
It's all marijuana.
It's
all cannabis. I don't even want to use the marijuana word, but you know what I'm saying? It's all cannabis. It's just different types and different isolated parts
of the plant.
Of the plant.
And the issue, too, is that different states have different testing protocol for when you test your hemp plant, really, for its THC content. So all of a sudden, if you're testing once prior to harvest, or you're testing twice, you may have a plant that all of a sudden has magically transformed itself into marijuana under a different state standard.
Yeah, under the legal standards.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is something where the federal government, again, has no idea
what they're doing.
And they're trying to chase the regulations at this point, because the cat's out of the bag. I mean, you go on Amazon, you can buy CBD products, and you have been able to, for quite some time. So they're just trying to catch up at this point. And there's no way that they're going to actually be able to come out with guidance that's not just following suit with what everybody else is already doing, which is selling the product anyways.
Do you think that will ever, do you think we'll see gas stations getting shut down and the products taken? Is this going to happen or not?
Well, in Massachusetts, it is happening based upon the local boards of health. And if the local board of health, again, go back to the local government aspect, that if they create an ordinance from the local board of health that follows MDAR's regulations, or their guidance that they just put out, whatever you want to call it, that's something where they could easily go in and seize those products, because it really falls now onto the local board of health and the local authorities for enforcement action. So, and that has been happening in certain cities and towns.
So I bet in certain towns on the Cape, but in Boston and Somerville, Cambridge, they're probably cool with it. They're all right. They don't care.
It totally depends, because, if you're Verilife, maybe you want to, say something to the local board of health that, guess what, the gas station down the road is trying to sell these products, and it's my competition, because they're not state licensed, and there's this, gray area. So it's such a crapshoot. Every single day you have no idea what's going to happen, which is why the industry is so fascinating.
Have you heard of any board of health going forward with that? Suggesting that they're going to bust people?
I want to say it might be Dartmouth that did one enforcement action and has been pulling off the shelves. I'll have to double check, but I know that there's been a couple of them that have actually made the news that they did pull products off the shelves.
If any of our listeners hear about any of these, definitely let us know, especially if cops are coming in and taking products and raiding gas stations. We want to hear about that. 502-501-3477 is our phone number, too. We had a lot of calls earlier. If you want to call in now, it's a good time to do so. Sandy, you've got to have something to say.
I do.
You're all in this.
I took the approach of going right to the local board of health when I first began, and I explained that I make custom formulated candies with vitamins and with the CBD for my people, because sometimes, at a dispensary, they're not going to have a CBD only lollipop, and they certainly might not have a full spectrum, right? So when I explained to them what I wanted to do, and I said, look, I don't want to be the lady with the cat hair in her candy, because I don't, and I'm doing this as a responsible business person to not do it from home anymore. I am not selling at a farmer's market. But if I was, you would have a pathway for me to certify my home kitchen. I said, well, my wellness center has a kitchen. I understand it's not a commercial kitchen, but would you certify it anyway? So they came in, they did an inspection, and they gave me a home, permit, as if I was like a home kitchen witch, but at least I'm doing it in a public place where I don't have any animals. So because I was honest and I said I want to do this safely and I want to sell at farmers markets and I want to sell directly to the public in Massachusetts, they said, okay. So I had what was it? Not a retail food permit, but a home food permit. So then the second year when I went to renew that, they had kind of changed their mind and said, we talked about it. We don't feel like we need to do an inspection because you're actually regulated by the state. So then when I wrote to the state said, well, just check with your local board of health and make sure you're not breaking any of the zoning laws. So then I went back to them again, and first they said that I might need to get a tobacco license, and then they said I didn't need to do that. So then they said, you're the only one doing this. So they're basically relying on me to keep them up to date on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And they have determined that I'm doing it safely because they're letting me do it. And when I said I was moving across the street, I went around to, the town clerk. I went to the Board of Health and I said, guess what? We're going to be neighbors and you'll get 20% off. Just come say hi.
I can't imagine anyone saying no to you.
Like, honestly, I've
seriously.
been very, wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, this is the perspective that I'm coming from. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Here's my lab book. You come into my shop. Every product that we sell, we have labs. I can share them online. I can share them with my book, with my people. So they know my master kilo. I've had the residual solvent test. I've had the mold test. I've had the pesticide test. I've had all of the tests. And this is where Massachusetts has done so well at self-regulation. And I carry the Healing Roses products because when we were starting our businesses together, we were buying kilos and saying, hey, what did they charge you? This is what they charged me. And trying to figure this all out, and I knew she was one of the first insured, product manufacturers. So of course, when I opened my shop, I'm like, what an awesome opportunity to support other people doing this right.
Another female business
and
owner, right?
Might have mostly female made products in my shop, but
there you go.
my club.
So you're doing it. Yeah, you're a trailblazer in so many ways. It's true. You both are. I mean, this is awesome. 502-501-3477 is our phone number. So you talked about the Healing Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Are they worried about this? What are they?
Well, yeah, Laura from the Healing Rose stepped up, and basically called an emergency meeting when we all got this, memorandum. And, obviously it affects her business greatly because she's in something like maybe 150 stores around the country. So, she's
bought
of course.
A new
place. She just moved into a 5,000 square foot facility. We're both, in kilos deep, so to speak. It's like you're sitting on tens of thousands of dollars of either product, or if you're a farmer, you've maybe spent all that on your clones and your soil preparation and your tractors. And to think that you would be growing this boutique hemp flower, thinking that someone like me would be able to educate with it and, have it in my shop and teach people how to get off cigarettes by smoking hemp flower that's not going to get you high, and mix it with mullein and mix it with some chamomile and let's make a little blend. Why shouldn't that be our First Amendment right? And especially if we know it's coming from a licensed place. Again, we've all invested. We've all invested so much. So yes, Laura from the Healing Rose, along with C3RN, started doing these emergency meetings. Some of them were over the phone. A lot of us who have kids couldn't make it to all of them, but we've all been really in tune to what they're trying to do. And I know the bill that was put through was not written by the Mass Hemp Coalition, which they started, but at least they've been allowed in and they've been invited back to give recommendations. And I do feel like we now are represented equally on the retail, the farming, the processing and manufacturing sides of things. I feel like we have enough representation that I'm kind of in the day-to-day just running my business, so I'm as politically active as I possibly can be right now, because I'm just going to keep it local. I'm going to keep it tight. My one-woman army thing has been working so far. So as much as I support everything, it's again, I'm in the day-to-day, I'm doing it, and so I'm just trying to cover my own butt.
Right.
Every day.
And I think, to that end too, it's, I spoke recently with the council, from MDAR, because I speak periodically with, attorneys and things like that. And we do a lot of education out there. And so what she had said really is that, the state and with MDAR, they really do have licenses to grow. They have licenses to process. But their recommendation then is we don't have a retail license. So what we are telling our license holders is you just have to hold on to your CBD. There is no market by which Massachusetts has established a framework by which you can sell it. And that's, a lot of it too, again, is
crazy.
That, all of a sudden, through the regulations, hemp became legal.
Right.
And Massachusetts and MDAR, who's used to dealing with, peaches and apples and crops. This fell on their shoulders, and they're very understaffed in terms of, the number of people that they have. So they're struggling to try to figure this out. And I think that, just again, more pushing and more education on this is a problem and this is what's happening. It'll be another government agency that realizes that they've got to set a framework around this. There's no timeline on it though, which is the problem. And I think, that's the bigger push, is to make sure that they know that this is happening.
It
and
needs to
there's
happen
such
now. It
exactly.
can't be like 5 years from now.
Exactly. And I think, again, it's government agencies. Everything's done,
Slow.
it's slower. There's a lot
Especially
of
in
different.
mass.
Exactly. Completely.
We have a
and
lot
totally.
of eggheads that want to look at everything 12 times and make sure it's perfect in case. This is, it's frustrating because, being a small business owner myself, you see all the eggheads. They come in, I have a great idea. It's like, go do it. Like as a
My favorite
small
line,
business
"I wanna
owner,
help
you
you."
just want to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
Just do it. But government is just the opposite. It's like the eggheads are running everything.
Well, and the worst part, too, with local government is, I won't say it's the worst part, but the open meeting law, which requires that you have 48 hours posted notice before there's anything that you're able to or allowed to speak about at a public meeting, on a public agenda, that has to be open to the public. So it's not as if you can have a productive conversation. Our Board of Selectmen is only 3 people. So what that means is that our whole Board of Selectmen can't speak to each other at all in between meetings, because that's a violation of the open meeting law.
Well, they
that
can,
would be
but they can't speak about business. They could say happy birthday.
Exactly. Right, exactly.
But they can't talk about the marijuana license that's coming up next week or anything.
So all of those things have to happen on the schedule that the local government is able to comply with. So, you have that with, trying to get licenses at, the local level and permits and meeting with the zoning board and the planning board. And, well, you're on our agenda for 3 weeks from now. Well, I need it yesterday. Well, sorry, that's when we meet next, because they're volunteers that put their time in there. So, it's a bizarre, archaic system that they're not full-time people that are working here. So it's I think when business meets government and this industry, it completely overlaps and it intersects and it intertwines with itself. But the two do not work well. Cannabis is, cannabis and hemp, they're really just on the fast track, and government's on the, is the camera turned on? I'm not sure. Hold on, we're not starting the meeting until the camera is turned on. It's so slow. It's just, it's bound to happen like this.
And we need to study that. Turning the camera on. We need to run a study now to see if we should turn the camera on. We're going to meet in 4 months, and we're going to read that study, and we'll see if we decide to even read it, right?
Exactly. John Oliver did a great bit that was on special local taxing governments that was on his Last Week Tonight show. And, they show, with the open meeting law and the formality of, all of these meetings, and you have a local government that's meeting, and they stand up, they open the meeting formally, they stand up, they do the Pledge of Allegiance, and they say, now we're going to take audience comment, and then the camera pans around the entire room. There's not a single person in the audience, but they just have this formality that they keep following. But that's local government.
It's so funny because, I've been to so many city and town hearings. Cannabis brings them out. Like when we have cannabis hearings, that's when they're like, oh my God, look at all these people. We're not used to having all these people here.
I had one that I went to that this guy actually spoke up. He had a book that was, on medicinal cannabis. And he was speaking up and saying, medicinal cannabis, this is great for people. It's helping people. This is a wonderful thing. However, recreational cannabis is evil.
Oh my God.
And we're all kind of looking at him like, I don't even know what to say. I just you can't argue with that.
You can't talk to somebody like that sometimes.
Or they get really stuck on the addiction thing, and I'm like, I get it. You can get addicted to anything. Don't get me wrong, but why would your body not want something that's feeding the endocannabinoid system?
I may need treatment for the Ben & Jerry's. And and you mentioned cigarettes. That's my thing.
I know, honey. I saw you sneaking over
there. You were talking to me, weren't you?
You can't.
You were giving me the. I knew it.
I should have brought some of the pre-rolls for you.
Yeah,
bud.
I think I need some help.
Damn, I didn't realize. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, Mike.
We're the Young Jurks. We're here. I'm starting to laugh. We're here. We're here like once a lifetime, and we're here at Verilife, and we're in Wareham, Mass. But we're usually live on Saturdays. We're actually going to take this Saturday off. This is our show this week, but we'll be back. Believe me, this has been a great day. I've had a lot of fun. You had fun?
I'm having a great time, Mike.
Yeah.
We should do this more often.
Always.
Yeah. And we got we want to thank the Green Nurse Group for coming too. Sherry is over there. Awesome. We want to thank the whole crew at Wareham, Verilife at Wareham. Megan, Shelly, everyone we've met. It's been awesome today. We got some free. Have you had any free tacos over there?
No, I need some tacos.
Oh, so good.
Pulled pork tacos.
Yeah.
Free coleslaw.
And then you got to get the what do you call that?
If I
The
knew they were
sauerkraut
free,
or
I would have been
whatever?
over there.
No, the coleslaw. They got a little coleslaw on it, and then the hot sauce. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And I got this. This is really nice. I think this is starting to affect me. Yep.
Gifting to
So, anyways,
the limit.
we'll take a quick phone call if anyone wants to call in real quick. I know we probably ran out of callers. Everyone was calling in earlier. 502-501-3477 if you have any comment you want to mention anything today. Before we go, is there anything you want to share with the audience, guests?
Well, yeah, just, if you guys are passing through Boston to get to Cape Cod, you can stop off of Route 3 at the Rockland exit and come say hi to us at Irie Bliss. And you're always welcome. Even if you're not a member, you're just not welcome past a certain point. But that would be a great chance for you to stop in and have all your burning questions about cannabis answered. No pun intended.
I would highly recommend that.
Yeah.
And do you do like yoga over there too and stuff like that?
We had a yoga studio in the previous space, but now it's filled up with books and with Sherry stuff and recording. We're going to be recording a lot of shows out of there.
Oh, you're doing shows there too?
Yep. So
Cool.
it's going to be our new kind of more recording studio. And I go elsewhere for yoga now.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mitzi?
I mean, I guess, the biggest thing that I see in the industry is really just it does make a difference to be an advocate. It does make a difference to have your voice heard. I think education is always of, the utmost importance in this industry. And the more that people get out there and the more that they're educating others on this industry, the better off it will be overall, for everybody involved, small business, even the large business. But really just, the whole point is education. So
Thank you. And your selectman, again, Mitzi Hollenbeck. Also with Citron Cooperman. And the town again is Lakeville.
it's Lakeville.
I know that town.
Yes.
You know what? I see. I'm getting morbid again because wasn't like when I was at Bridgewater. Was there like a murder in Lakeville at one point?
There was with the golf course.
Yeah.
There was a murder-suicide at
Yeah.
the golf
Like a
course.
movie about it?
I hope there wasn't a movie. I don't know. I'm sure I wasn't in it.
now I'm remembering
That I
back
can
headlines from
guarantee.
back in the day.
Yes.
I think there was something else too that I'm.
There's a lot.
There's a few things.
Don't Google Lakeville.
Why
Okay, just
is
don't
this area
Google
like
Lakeville.
there's the Bridgewater Triangle too. That's like it's kind of spooky in this area.
It is. It is.
Right?
I'm excited to
I
drive
think
right
all of
back
New
through it.
England is
I'm
like that,
hoping
though.
that I get home and
Do you
I
think
don't
all
disappear.
of New England is like? Because I live right next to Salem. I mean, that's
Well,
pretty
Middleborough, the
spooky.
next town over to us, has a ghost hunter. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
believe that their town hall is haunted,
I
and
would
so
not
they
doubt it.
actually have like paranormal activity nights and
Yes.
stuff in like the summer and the fall, and so you can go check out Middleborough Town Hall and their ghost tours.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I
See,
didn't know about that.
weird
See.
New England, spooky New England. We're right in the heart of it. Well, no, this is beautiful though. I mean, this does not. You come down to Verilife, and you get the ocean out here.
I feel like
you
I'm
get a
in New
little park.
Orleans. Like the style of
Oh,
this building is
beautiful.
incredible. Yep. Cannabis is going to come in and help all of these towns who have buildings like this that are rotting.
That's right.
I hope. I think.
Right next to Toby Hospital.
Yeah, it's right next to a hospital
Yep.
too. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing
People
here.
going in for their treatments can come right over here after.
There you go.
This
Maybe
is
you
aw-
wouldn't end up over there if you started out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Especially with the free tacos.
That's right. This was great. I want to thank you again. We have Mitzi Hollenbeck from Citron Cooperman, also selectman with the town of Lakeville. Did I say that right?
You
Lakeville?
did. That was good.
And Sandy Bernier, and you're the owner, founder
Mm-hmm.
of Irie Bliss Wellness.
That's right.
Cool. And it's IrieBliss.com.
Irie, like the most perfect
Irie?
state of contentment, Mike. Yeah,
Irie?
IrieBliss.com.
IrieBliss.com.
Irie.
Thank you. I don't know why I always screw up that word. It's like I should know it. I went to Jamaica.
Okay.
I went there for 10 days.
Everything Irie,
And I
man.
still, I got speech issues. You got to realize.
That's
I'm
okay.
someone with a speech
But you have a
impediment
radio show.
that
You're an
hosts a show.
inspiration.
You know what I mean? I'm like the rose that grew out of concrete. That's what I always go back to. Me and Tupac were both born in the same month and the same year. So, and we both are roses that grew out of the concrete. Except his skin was darker and he was more famous and more talented. But, you better looking, whatever. I got it. So I want to thank you so much for coming in. Coming
Thanks for
down.
having us.
Yeah.
Ooh, you think.
You guys are awesome. Look at this. This is so easy with you. I'm telling you. This was so much fun today. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to, I think, what do you do? A break? We're going to bring some more people over? No, just me wrapping it up with them. We're gonna bring some more guests on. Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
So perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the
Pleasure's
lollipop. This is awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna have a great rest of
And
your day.
hopefully we get some pictures too after.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All
Good.
right.
And we're gonna bring in the folks from Verilife to wrap it up here. I think Shelly.
Yeah, I think I might have shot you a message.
Perfect. Hello, Shelly. How we doing today? You having fun?
Always.
Always. I'm having a blast. This is great. How was the day today?
Today was wonderful having all our partners here, having you guys here, food trucks here. Food truck's always good.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I
everyone
love
wants
that
a food
food truck.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
It was like really good.
Yeah. So the food truck will be back tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow all day.
Yep. We'll have more exciting concentrate tables and education the rest of this week. So our 7:10 goes through 7:13. So if anyone hasn't visited us yet,
Come
come
down.
on down and see us anytime.
And you got a lot going. Like today, that you had PAX here. You had a bunch of different vendors throughout the week. You're gonna have things for people to do.
We'll have some education tables and free food. So
Yeah,
all is good with
I
that.
love free food.
Yeah, me too.
I'm always down. As you can tell, I'm eating my my little lollipop now. Also, I want to give Greenleaf Magazine a shout out. They came down today as well. Check out their new issue, Greenleaf Magazine. Awesome, good people.
Good.
Anything else you want to leave us with? Your
Nope.
website, Verilife?
Check us out at verilife.com. Leafly is a really good resource for people. If you make a Leafly order, you can tie up all the best products first thing in the morning, starting at 9 a.m. Pick up your order anytime until 9 p.m. Also, if you have your Leafly text, you show it to our security guards at the parking lot, and you'll be able to park, assuming there's a spot, you'll be able to park right on site.
Cool.
So,
Leafly gives you a little extra.
Leafly gives you a little extra love. There's a Leafly specific register, Leafly specific parking, and a lot of our products might sell out by 5 o'clock, so they're able to tie them up right first thing in the morning.
And I gotta say, I like Leafly for a lot of reasons. I'm not even gonna get into some of the past things we've covered on the show and some of the things they've done. But I like also that they do journalism. A lot of reporters I
Yes.
know who maybe got laid off of publications locally, they started writing for Leafly, getting paid well, writing a lot of good stories. I think Jimmy D just broke a big story too. My friend out from the West Coast on Leafly.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
It is.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you
Good.
so much for
All
coming.
right. Thanks
Thank
for
you for
coming
having
out.
us, actually.
Yes.
Thank you for me. Yeah, I'm getting hot over here. I don't know if you could tell, but I've had a good day, so it's been fun. Murphy, are you still there? Are we all done? Yeah? All right. So we're checking out Mike Crawford, Young Jurks. I want to thank everyone for listening, all the comments. I'm sorry I didn't get to read more of the comments, but I want to thank everyone for checking us out today on all our clips. We're the Young Jurks. We'll see you next time.
Every day, Verilife's here to help you live a higher quality of life. The massive product selection at their Wareham dispensary features superior quality flour, vapes, edibles, and more, all derived from locally sourced growers. Experience unparalleled customer service from experts whose knowledge will help you become smarter about your options. Located 10 minutes from the Bourne Bridge, make Verilife Wareham your last stop on the way to the Cape. Reserve an order through Leafly, and you'll be on your way in no time. Open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. The good vibes start at Verilife.